Also, before we get anywhere else, I want to show you guys something really cool. If you'll bear with me for just a moment, but a moment, I am going to show you the massive amount of costumes that they have in this game. Because it is honestly really rad. So, we should just start from the beginning. This is the costume that you end up getting. This is the one that you start off with, the very classic suit. You know, the one that was designed by John Romita Sr. and Stan Lee back in the 1970s. It used to look like this. Much darker colors, darker reds, and almost black, black blues and everything like very, very dark blues. But during the 70s, they actually redesigned it, added more webs and more definition to it, and added a nice symbol on the back of it that doesn't actually have sharp legs. That's a new addition. It actually had more blunt legs, like in this one. See? It looked like that on the back. Regardless, this is the classic look for Spider-Man. Everyone knows this costume. So, what happens during the fight with Fisk? It gets damaged. And you end up with this mess. So, what you do in this game is, since I'm on New Game Plus, it just allows me to, you know, select all the suits that I have unlocked, and I unlocked every suit because I'm a fashionista like that. Regardless, the next one that you get is an original design purely for this game, and I gotta say, I really like it. This is the advanced suit. It looks really cool. It's a neat design. It's very athletic. I love the little white things on the little, I almost said whittle, my bad. The little white gloves and everything like that, and I think it's just really neat. And the next one that we get is the Spider-Man Noir suit, which is actually from an alternate universe story set in the 1920s, where Peter Parker is a Depression-era orphan who lost his job and everything like that, lost his aunt and uncle, I think his uncle, to a factory accident, if I remember right. If I may just be making that up, I apologize if I am. And he gets bitten by some magical or radioactive or whatever spider, gains spider powers, but since he does not get the organic web shooters during this timeline and everything like that, he is actually a Spider-Man without webs. So he's just able to crawl around, and he actively kills people in this universe. So as you can see, there's a little revolver right there on his hip, and it's actually very neat. If you ever get the chance to check these out, I will just tell you whatever comics they're from. So this is Spider-Man Noir. Now, this guy right here is kind of a... I like it, I really do, but I like his second suit better. But this is Ben Reilly's suit. This is the clone of Peter Parker that gained his own life and everything like that, and became the first Scarlet Spider. And as you can tell, he just got a red jumpsuit, belt, and sleeveless hoodie, because that's the 90s, man. That's how you know he's cool. He just DIY'd this whole thing together and made his own Spider-Man suit. Don't know how he got the lenses or the mask, but hey, I'm not one to judge. So, as it stands, this is a really neat addition, but I prefer his secondary suit, which you can find in Sensational Spider-Man back in the 90s. Just look up Ben Reilly, and it's Reilly with 2 L's. And this whole thing is like part of the Clone Saga, one of the worst comic book arcs in all of comic book history, because it's just the victim of marketing more than anything. Not writing or anything like that. It's weird, but that's a fun suit. And as you can tell, it's got little ninja shoes, because it has like the little toe separator on there. This one is a very personal favorite of mine. It's the Spider Armor Mark II. This is the second rendition of it. When the Spider Armor first appeared in the 90s, it was just an alternate costume to sell more comic book covers. But this one actually has some symbolic meaning behind it. This came about during a time when Peter was losing his spider sense. And we had no idea what was causing it, and all blah 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 blah. So he made this to protect himself from bullet fire, because it's just layered titanium alloy plates that are like 4 inches thick. And it's super heavy, but since he's strong enough to do that, he's able to lift it and move pretty agile, like retain his agility. But if you ever get the chance, read the story that contains the villain Massacre. It's called No One Dies. And it's wonderful art, wonderful story, and it's in the comic book collective arc called Big Time, which I will get to in just a little bit. So If you ever get the chance, read that story. It is really, really good. Now, this is a costume I do not know much about. This is during Secret Wars 2, I believe, which the first one is actually where he got the symbiote costume, which is not a costume in this game because they're saving it for the sequel. You can't have it. You can't blow your load on the first game. I know. But this one is from Secret Wars 2 where they're infiltrating Latveria to stop Doctor Doom from doing something, and since they didn't want to get caught in their covert ops for some reason, they just designed them different costumes. I don't understand it. It looks kind of dumb in my opinion. I don't like it. Then we have the Stark suit, aka the suit from Spider-Man Homecoming. This one should be obvious to anyone who's seen the movie. I like it, but not hearing Tom Holland's voice come out of this model makes it a bit weird for me, so I don't wear it generally. And this one is what happens if you were to get the advanced suit, but influenced by the powers of a later villain in this series. So I won't spoil who it is. So just, it's called the negative suit. So just take this for what you will and go from there. Now this one is the electrically insulated suit from the first fights with Electro. And I hope you're ready for some comic book history, because if you're in this deep, dude, you gotta bear with me. I love comic books, so have fun with that. But this is during the first fight with Electro, where he didn't have any insulation in his suits. It was just pure cloth. So, got ripped up easily, got his ass kicked. So, he just tried and tried again and made this weird rubber suit. I don't like it. So, we're moving on. Now, this is another recent creation and kind of a soft spot for me, because I love the punk aesthetic and everything like that. This is Spider-Punk. This came about during the Spider-Verse storyline, if I remember correctly, with Superior Spider-Man, actually all the Spider people, all the Warriors. And this is a recent creation, and the most notable thing is that the Spider-Man, the Spider-Punk, the man behind the mask, is actually African-American. So I found that to be really interesting, and this would be... Oh, what's up? I love the nerdiness I'm witnessing, man. It's legitimately the coolest shit hearing the backstories to each of these suits. Okay, thank you, Maximus. I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm just trying to give background on this so I can get it all out of the way right now. So every time that we come back to it, I'll just clip this and just go like, hey, guess what? Look at this. And we'll go from there. But Spider-Punk is a recent creation. The character is African-American. He's really cool. He's on Superior's side, if you could believe that. And I love the design of it. The studded jean jacket, the studded bracelets, the belt, the difference in the actual suit itself, the chucks, if you can see them. The one thing I hate about this is if you look at the top, it's got a metal mohawk, metal spikes, and it just looks super dumb. And if it didn't have that, this would be an absolute classic in my book. So, moving on, we get the wrestler suit. And there's no real backstory behind this one other than this is Peter's homemade suit for when he took on Crusher Hogan in the first issue in the 15th issue of Amazing Fantasy. And there have been several renditions of this suit, and it's just basically sneakers, sweatpants, a sweater with a little spider symbol on it, and a dumb luchador mask. That's all you really need to know about it, and it's just his wrestling suit from when he was more of a performer than anything else, which is an overlooked aspect of Spidey's history, is that... Oh, here we go. Another comment. I must admit, the negative suit is kind of a personal favorite of mine. This is from Erectus Maximus, by the way. I don't know why, but the way the eye lenses appear larger looks so intimidating and threatening. Also, sorry for making you read the comments, just wanted to say my piece. Dude, do not worry. I'm all here for comments, and I love people's input on this. So, to everyone watching, do not be afraid to comment. I will read all of them, and I will do my best to read all of them, and at least say them out on stream, say who they're from, because there's a small number of people here, but it's a tight-knit group. We have a tight-knit community here. Regardless, this is just the wrestler suit, and if we go back to the negative suit here, if you like bigger eye lenses, by the way, Erectus Maximus, you are going to love one of the upcoming suits. So, going back to this one, the next one is... I don't like it. I really don't. It's just the gauntlets don't... it looks stupid. It looks really stupid. But this is during the Fear Itself storyline, and all you really need to know about is what if Tony Stark got access to Asgardian forges and technology? And what if Spider-Man was there too, I guess? So Stark made an Asgardian suit for Spider-Man. That's all you really need to know. I have not read Fear Itself, so blah, 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 blah. Now, this is the cool one with the very big eye lenses, and this is actually the stealth suit, also known as the big time suit. This is the suit that Spider-Man developed to enhance his stealth capabilities, quite obviously. What it actually does is that it warps light around the user, and the black is for natural camouflage at night, but it warps light around the user and is able to become totally invisible. But one might ask, hey, Peter, why did you put green lights all over the place? Here's something interesting. What do you think would happen if you can't see your arms or where you're shooting your webs? So, what he did is that he made a light at a frequency that is only detectable with very special technology and very special goggles, lenses, and stuff like that. It's at such a low frequency that humans can't perceive it, but due to the lenses, the enlarged lenses that he has with the suit, he's able to see them and aim with his arms and legs, and he's able to see where he's going. Oh, here we go. Gotta love how it's called the stealth suit, and stealth is the lowest stat there at the bottom right. Yeah, I don't... No, I'm... Balls out, balls to the wall, guns out. I'm strong. That's how I play. But yeah, this is the cool alien-looking suit, and this and Noir are the two stealth suits in this game that are very, very interesting. And personally, I prefer Noir to this one, with this one coming in at a close second. Now here is Spider Armor Mark III from one of my most hated Spider-Man storylines, Ends of the Earth, which completely butchers a beloved Spider-Man villain, Dr. Octopus. Otto Octavius, which you all know the story, you can probably predict what's going to happen, but at least they give the character proper, like, props in this game, a proper characterization. So, what happens in this one is that Dr. Octopus invents lenses that orbit the Earth that direct sunlight back at the sun and back out into space, thus having them avoid being trapped in the atmosphere, thus putting a stop to global warming, blah, 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 blah. But then, because he's a supervillain, and supervillains can't do anything except become supervillains and be supervillains still, he turns the lenses back on some remote Eastern European countries that don't actually exist in the real world, but only in Marvel, and he commits genocide. There's no real way to dance around that, because the actual quote from this, I will become a bigger murderer, I'm paraphrasing here, but the basic gist of it is, I will become a worse man than Pol Pot, Hitler, and Stalin combined. That last bit is a direct quote from the comic itself. And it's just bad. It's just really bad. It also has the very famous scene where Spider-Man punches out Al Gore. Because, yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah, I know that it was the chameleon disguised as Al Gore, but hey, I don't care, because the writer wrote him punching Al Gore. It's dumb. And plus, it looks like an Iron Man ripoff, so moving on. Now, on to something that's actually cool. Spider-Man 2099. This is just basically Spider-Man in the future. Back in 1999, people wondered, hey, what's the world going to be like in 100 years? And Marvel jumped on that train and just made a bunch of different, just stories about their heroes in the future. So, obviously, in 2099, Peter Parker is long dead. So what they do is they create a new character wholesale from the ground up, and he works at a lesser-known company and aspect of Spider-Man's lore, Alchemax, which became popular in this storyline. So what we have here is a man named Miguel O'Hara. Oh god, I need some water. I've been talking so much. I apologize, guys. Hey, more time to look at this awesome costume. Yep. Ah, burpees. Okay. This costume right here is actually a remnant, if I remember right, is Miguel O'Hara's, unstable molecular device, like, it's not UMD, it's unstable matter that is just basically, it reacts to everything. It's just magical cloth that's unbreakable. He bought this costume for a Day of the Dead festival in Mexico, and when he obviously gets spider powers later on in the story through genetic mutation and stuff like that, he dons this costume and glides around a futuristic New York City. He doesn't have webs, believe it or not. He glides around, he jumps around, and he just jumps from skyscraper to skyscraper to skyscraper, and from there, he is able to just be Spider-Man to the best of his ability. So, what the interesting thing here is, with the genetic, like, mutations that this guy went through, he actually, became spider-like. So, if you remember, Miles Morales, with his stuff, you actually got like some spider mutations. You got a spider sting, some venom, and this is taken to the nth degree. He grows talons. He grows like I think bristly fur at certain points, and he gets like fangs and talons on his fingers. If I actually zoom out and right here, if you look on his fingers right there, right here specifically, just right there, you can actually see little claws on the tips of his fingers. And this is the only piece of clothing that he has that won't rip when those claws protrude. So he is literally like half spider now. He's a literal Spider-Man, not just stickum powers, And on to the next one. This one's obvious. This is the Iron Spider suit, the reinterpretation of it for the MCU, seen in Infinity War and all the promo and stuff like that, made of nanotechnology. It has iron arms, which is a concept they stole from Superior Spider-Man, which should have been a costume in this game, but blah. That's me. That's just me. So, moving on. This is the interesting one. I keep saying that over and over again, but hey, I repeat myself. I'm nothing if not consistent. This is an original design done by Henri Garnov, I believe, who is an upcoming comic book artist who designed an original suit for this game along with the advanced suit. This is just called the Velocity suit. It has no real lore behind it, but it looks really neat. It is actually, I think, inspired by the Alex Ross designs for the first Spider-Man movie back in 2002, and the, Wolverine Assassin Spider-Man. The Assassin Spider-Man, look it up for Spider-Man versus Wolverine. That's a very cool suit. It's an alternate universe kind of deal, so just alternate Earth. You can go from there. It's mainly the mask and the eyes that give me that kind of deal. So, moving on to the suit that I was using before, the Spider Armor Mark IV. I should also mention that this was the Spider Armor Mark III, but hey, whatever. Spider Armor Mark IV is a design, I believe, done by Alex Ross. If not, it deserves someone tell me. And, but this was done for the reboot of Amazing Spider-Man after Superior Spider-Man, which is a whole other storyline I won't go into right now because it has comic book logic, and it's really dumb. It should have been done my way because I rewrote it, but hey, what can you do? So, basically, Peter Parker becomes and inherits his own company, Parker Industries, that was set up by Otto Octavius when he was in control of his body. I told you I wouldn't go into it, but I lied. When Peter comes back, because obviously he has to come back, he creates and tries to expand his company on a global scale. So what he does is he creates a new suit of armor that is stronger, faster, more lighter than the Spider Armor Mark II or Mark III, and just he redesigns his suit from the ground up. So what he does, obviously, is just keep the style, but make it stronger, make it better, make it faster. Harder, better, faster, stronger is basically the whole deal. And I really like it, and I really love the implementation that they have in this game, because it just looks amazing. Looks spectacular, even. Beyond all that, though, This is the neat one. The odd one out, as it were. This is the Spirit Spider. All you need to know about this is, what if the Spirit of Vengeance, which is what gives the hero Ghost Rider his powers, what if it possessed Peter Parker? And this is what it creates. I should let you know now that every single costume in this game is reflected in cutscenes. You choose this one, and he's talking to Mary Jane with a skull for a head. Let me rephrase that. With just a skull. His jaw doesn't move, so that makes it all the better. Moving on. This is the redesign of the 2099 suit done for modern times. Miguel O'Hara comes back in time, gets trapped in the 2010s, 2015 if I remember right, and from there he just has to progress through normally as Alchemax eats Parker Industries after he finds out that after Peter finds out that his doctorate, it was plagiarized off a lot of Octavius's research, because hey, of course it was, and yada yada yada. Alchemax becomes the next big company, leading into a direct tie-in for 2099, making it canon, taking it out of limbo, and from there legitimizing it. So what they do is Peter redesigns Miguel's suit into something like this, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, he redesigns the suit into this. So I think this is much better implemented and much better designed than the game-wise, I should say, than the 2099 suit, because just look at the arm spikes. Here, they look like Batman spikes. That's cool. You can grab things with them, and they don't interfere with anything. Here, though, they just stick out, when they should be on the sides like Batman. Just looks weird. Regardless, I might be rocking this one in the near future. On to this one, though. This is the fun one. If you look back at the original issues of Amazing Spider-Man, with Steve Ditko as the artist, you will see a lot of creepy imagery, a lot of lankier Spider-Man, a lot darker colors. Ditko wanted to make Spider-Man very creepy, very unsettling, and very just very unnerving to be around, because who wouldn't be unnerved by a man that could stick to walls, be incredibly flexible and durable and strong, and who wouldn't be scared of him? So what they did is they created a cel-shaded and used an interesting computer program and coloring style to make it pop in a very realistic world. And I will rock this for a little bit so you guys can see what it looks like in the real world, the game world, I should say. And it's just a very nice callback, I think. And it unlocks one of the best abilities in the game, where you just insult your enemy's pride. As it says right there, I will rock that as soon as I can. So let me just put that on real quick. Now here is one of my personal favorites. This is the Last Stand suit. In the far off future, when Peter Parker is a much more mature, aged, and haggard man, he goes and adopts this more practical costume with black jeans, boots, and a spider leather jacket with the classic symbol on the back, and just a mask, a simple mask. No webbing, no fluff, nothing. What he does is he goes to the grave of Ben and May Parker. And from there, the police hunt him down, and it's his last stand. It's an alternate universe glimpsed by Peter Parker in person when he teams up with Doctor Strange during a story written by J. Michael Straczynski. I believe in the collected edition, it's called Until the Stars Run Cold. It's very interesting, and also it has a lot of really great moments in it. So I just love the DIY look of this costume, so it's become a personal favorite of mine. Here is the costume that you get for 100% completion. Look at that. Look at all that goodness. Yeah. Never gonna wear this. Never. And this one is the homemade suit from Homecoming, designed to be like Ben Reilly's costume, but the colors are inverted, has longer socks, has fingerless gloves, doesn't have the ankle bracelets so it doesn't look like he is under house arrest, and neat goggles. So, that's neat. Right here is the suit that you get as a reward. This is another originally designed suit for this game. It's basically, the whole premise behind it, I believe, is like, what if Black Widow teamed up with Spider-Man and designed a suit for him? except it's Black Cat in this case, so whatever. And any Black Cat's own words to directly quote. If you got it, flaunt it. So this is a fun one.